Welcome to Boomhauer69's YouTube channel, and today Boomhauer's going to talk about box wood stoves, like the title says. I noticed, here's a picture of what I'm talking about. That's just some random picture from an online website that sells them. But that's what I'm going to be talking about, box wood stoves. I know there's two companies right now that make those. One's called Cleveland Ironworks. One is called United U.S. Stove Company. And then they're discontinued, but there was also a company called Vern Gosselin or something that used to make one, because I remember seeing that brand about 4 or 5 years ago being sold in Tractor Supply and stuff. But another name for those types of wood stoves is, I think it's also a trapper stove. If I remember right, a trapper stove, because I know back hundreds of years ago, those stoves were popular for people who did hunting and trapping. Being back in the olden days, those stoves were popular for the hunters and trappers and stuff back years ago, hundreds of years ago, back in the olden days. But I noticed one feature that those don't have nowadays. The companies that are making those boxwood stove, United U.S. Stove Company, Cleveland Ironworks. I noticed the Cleveland Ironworks one, they just have like a flat surface, like griddle surface for cooking on, and then the U.S. Stove Company, they have the little round little circles on top for allow you to put a pan, a frying pan, or cast iron skillet on there and do some cooking and stuff. That's what I like about those boxwood stoves, because you could heat if you didn't have a whole lot of space for two wood stoves, if you didn't have enough space for a regular wood cook stove and a regular heating wood stove, you could that could be useful for cooking and heating, and especially if you're just kind of using a wood stove as backup heating source, and then the power goes out, you ain't got no electricity to cook with or gas to cook with or whatever. That would be those I always thought would be a good idea for that, especially if you live in a small place and you can't have both a wood cook stove and that, you could always cook on top of that. But I always liked those because they were, pretty compact, and you can, if you lived in I'd say maybe a medium to small house, you could easily heat up your home. I grew up around people who had wood stoves, and I remember seeing them a lot as a kid growing up. I notice a lot of them nowadays, if they do have the round little circle hot plate burners, they're not removable, so you can't do direct heating on them, and I miss that feature. I know the years ago, Tractor Supply used to sell the Vern Gosselin ones, and they used to have the little removable top little round plates that you could use to do direct heating if you wanted to, maybe cook your food a little faster and stuff. But now the company that make those boxwood stoves, they don't allow for direct heating. It's just you set your frying pan on there and call it a day. And then I noticed the companies that do make those, they're not doing a very good job at them. They just have poor reviews at garbage. People say smoke is coming out the doors, or somebody mentioned in a comment once, I saw a review of the seal around the door just fell off, and it wasn't very good, and the iron metal they're using burns up, and it rusts really quickly and stuff, and it seems like they're junk, and I hope some wood stove company out there that makes decent quality wood stoves is seeing this right now. I hope so, because I would love to see more companies make those style of wood stoves. I wish those wood stoves would make a comeback where the companies that are out there are making wood stoves would make those and make them with the little, I call them hot plates, the little removable hot plates and stuff. Because the old antique ones, the old ones from way back in the day, like the ones from like the 1800s, 1900s, 60s, 70s, whatever on back, they used to have up at top the little round plate and a tool that would allow you to remove the little round hot plate, and then you could set your cast iron skillet on it and do direct cooking from direct heat and stuff. And I wish the companies that make those wood that make them boxwood stoves would bring that feature back, because I miss that. Some used to just have a flat surface, but they would have a slide out of the way flat surface top that would allow you to, top load your wood too. Some companies did that back in the day with wood stoves, but I more always like the ones with the little round circle plates for setting a frying pan on or cast iron skillet and doing cooking on. And because I always liked those, because I thought those were perfect for small spaces and stuff. And if you can't, for whatever reason, use your gas stove or your electricity, it'd be perfect for in those situations to be able to cook on and stuff, say a power outage, or maybe your propane is a little low, or you're, for some reason like my house, I have natural gas, maybe your natural gas is not working for whatever reason, and you had one of those. But I wish companies would bring that back, those boxwood stoves. I wish more companies that make decent quality wood stoves would get on board and make some of those. Because I know they're still being made, but the ones that are out there are crappy quality, where I would just simply say no to and stuff. And I wish more companies would do that. I know wood cook stoves are still being made. I watched tons of YouTube videos about companies that make actual wood cook stoves, but the problem with those is they're $4,000 to $5,000 and stuff. And usually boxwood stoves you can kind of get a little cheaper, but the ones that are out there for $300 to $500, I'm gonna say $500. I've seen them in Tractor Supply and looked at them and read reviews online. They turn out to be garbage, the boxwood stoves. So if you're a wood stove company out there and stuff that make wood stoves, and you're thinking about, what kind of design of wood stove should we make next? Why don't go back to making a boxwood stove and have the little round hot plates that you can use to remove and stuff? Because I really like those boxwood stoves. I guess maybe someday if I'm lucky I'll have to go. I don't own one, but if I ever did, maybe I'll get lucky and find some company that restores some antique one, and that would be worth buying and stuff. But well, yeah, the ones that they make nowadays, there's always talk about the seals around the door and stuff coming off. The glue's real cheap, I guess, on that or whatever. Or the gasket seal around the door is coming off, or they rust out too quickly and stuff, and seem to be just, something you want to stay with. Basically, from what I've seen of the companies that are making them, like U.S. Stove Company, Cleveland Iron Works, I guess they are making them, but they're just, at the end of the day, a $500 piece of hunk of junk metal that you don't even want to mess with. So, because I think it'd be neat to, if they had a decent one with the feature allowing you to remove the hot plates and do direct heating, I would totally buy one if it was of decent quality and stuff and not super junk. But yeah, I wish more companies that specialize in making wood stoves and wood cook stoves for cooking, heating, that are out there and are looking to make a design. I wish they would get into making those, because I think if they did, if more companies made that style of wood stove, and people that are looking for wood stoves and stuff, I think they would get quite a few people interested in that. I think there would be a good market for it. I know if I was a company building wood stoves, I'd be definitely making a decent version of that. I would probably make two models of that. I'd make one with a flat surface that would allow you to do drop top loading wood, where you slide the flat surface off to the side, and have it on a hinge where you slide it off to the side so you can top load your wood and then slide it back. And then also one with the little round burners that you can simply remove the little circle hot plates and do direct heating if that's what you choose, to make both options for those that would like that feature, if I was a company in making wood stoves and stuff. Now me, I look at wood stoves all the time, because in the near future sometime I would totally invest in wood stoves. I myself would have two kinds, if I could afford it. I would have one for heating, and then a regular wood cook stove for that has a built-in oven for heating and cooking and stuff. Usually wood cook stoves that have an oven for baking and all that stuff, they're gonna run you about $5,000 to $6,000, where usually for a regular wood stove just for heating purposes, you're gonna run you about around 2 to 3 thousand. You can usually get, I think, a pretty decent one for heating and cooking, and that's just the stove itself, and that's not including all the special stovepipe you need. Some areas only require some stoves only require double wall stovepipe. I know they make triple wall stovepipe, and all the fancy chimney stovepipe stuff, and the special I forget how to pronounce it, heat earth pads or heat pads. You gotta have those pads that they put the stove on top to protect your floor from catching fire, your floors and stuff. Or if you're gonna set it on chimney bricks and all that stuff, you gotta have, you're in total. If, let's say, you buy a wood stove and it's about $2,000, and you don't install all your chimney, and you don't have installed already your chimney pipes and everything set up, where all you gotta do is slide a stove in its place, hook up the chimney pipe, and you're good to go. And you gotta buy all that stuff, and your stove costs $2,000. You're gonna be probably looking somewhere around $5,000 just for complete everything. And then if you know how to do the work yourself, then you can, cut out the labor costs. But if you don't know what you're doing and you need to hire a professional carpenter that installs wood stoves and stuff, then you're gonna obviously gonna cost you more. So because a good quality wood stove is gonna cost quite a bit of money and stuff. I looked at one that's called Vermont Casting, that I thought a little one called a Vermont Casting Aspen, that I thought was a nice little wood stove for kind of for smaller spaces and stuff. So I look at wood stoves all the time, and I really like those box wood stoves, but the ones that are out there, they're just complete garbage, where I would definitely stay away from them. And I wish more companies would make their own version, not just go over to China and say, hey, you make me wood stoves, and then slap their name on it. That's what those U.S. Stove Company and Cleveland Iron Works are doing. They're just having going to some Chinese manufacturer and buy a bunch of them in bulk, and then they just stamp their name on it and act like they made the wood stove when clearly they didn't, And so the companies out there that do make a decent wood stove, I wish they would come out with their version of a box wood stove, like I said before, and because then I'd be more interested in, I should get one of those kind, because I really like those kind, especially the ones that have the little round circle plates on top that you can remove and do direct heating and stuff on. I really like those ones and stuff, because granted, since they're not a big wood stove, obviously if you live in a big house, it's going to be a lot harder to heat your home with that. But if you live in kind of a smaller house, and you don't need a super large wood stove for heating, then hey, you're good to go and stuff. So because that's what I always do, is when I look at wood stoves and stuff, because I plan on, for backup emergency heat, sometime getting a wood stove, and because I thought about out back of my house building like a little kind of off-grid, like little guest house or something in the near future, and putting wood stoves in there for emergency purposes. Have a little like kind of backyard little guest house where if the power went out in my house here, I could just shut the power off, turn the water off, like say in the middle of winter, power goes out. I can go down to my basement, I can open up my faucets, let the faucets run, shut the main water line off, shut this house down, go out into that little off-grid house and go in there and have it all set up, and all I gotta do is split a few pieces of wood, throw them on the fire, make me some kindling and throw it in the wood stove and strike a match and stay nice and warm and toasty and stuff. That's would be one of my goals and ideas. If I can ever pull that off, that's a project that's gonna take some a few $1,000s. Basically what I would be doing is converting a shed into a small living quarters. There's a small little off-grid little living quarter shanty for when power goes out and stuff, shut down the main house. Yes, I could install a wood stove in my house, but the problem is this house is a 2-story house, and I don't want to have to mess with trying to run chimney pipes through 2 stories, and stuff, and then out through the roof. So I would just simply out back have a little kind of off-grid little tiny house, I guess you call it. Little shed thingy with a wood stove in it and stuff, and then in the winter time, if the power goes out, I would still use my natural gas as the main heating source, and then in the future, if power ever went out in my area in the middle of winter time, I would have a secondary little guest house where I could stay warm and stuff. But that's my intentions with a wood stove. But yeah, I really like them little box wood stoves, because I would, if they ever made a decent one anyways, if some company out there ever made a good, decent one, I would buy one of those for heating, and I would still also, so once I had the money, buy also a regular wood cook stove with oven too, and then, because my idea would be is the little house structure, make a little 2-room cabin out back and on my house, where one room would be like the little living space. It would have a regular heating wood stove, and then a little off-grid kitchenette, where there would be a regular wood cook stove and stuff. But yeah, but I wish more companies out there that make and sell wood stoves, I wish they would make their version of that style of box wood stove and stuff. But yeah, that's what I wish some more companies would do, because like I said before, the companies that are making them, they're just cheap Chinese junk that ain't even worth it. So if you like this sort of content, give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you didn't like it, comment your thoughts below, whatever, even if you just want to say hi or boo or whatever, or you're some internet troll that wants to try to be Mr. Funny Man, you are more than welcome to do that, because heck, there was a time where I tried to do comedy and stuff, but the way the world is now, comedy is kind of a thing. So, but yeah, hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching Boomhauer69 YouTube channel. And don't forget to share this with everyone you know, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, because that's going to help me in getting more views and making more money off in this thing, because, well, that's what content creators are doing, is having fun making videos and trying to make money at the same time.